Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signor. Before I get to David Letterman, I want to suggest you all check out the new Britney Spears documentary on Hulu. It's called Framing Britney, and it really breaks down what this Free Britney movement is. And it's connected to what I'm about to talk about, because not only does it talk about the conservatorship she's under, which is controlling her to a scary degree, it really opened my eyes not only to that, but also just how we treated her. The media, the paparazzi, the press, the misogyny that she had to endure while Justin Timberlake didn't. It really is eye-opening to a point that I really want to suggest you guys check that out. It's this documentary that has opened people's eyes as sort of calling out mental health and how we used to do it so flippantly and humorously at late-night talk show circuits. And another example has just popped up where David Letterman is under fire for how he treated Lindsay Lohan in this interview in 2013. Now, look, Lindsay Lohan, you could argue, was going through a lot and deserved a little bit of accountability herself. Obviously, she had put a lot of people through her partying ways and so on. But just like Britney, it's clear she was going through her own addiction and mental health issues. And here was an episode. I got to be careful on how many clips I play for you, but she's here on Letterman's show talking about going into rehab, and he can't let the topic go.
Now, aren't you supposed to be in rehab now?
Do you not watch anything that goes on?
I do.
So she humors him. They talk about it. In the beginning, I don't really have a problem with it. He's definitely, overstepping, but he wants to sort of address the elephant in the room. But he never stops. It keeps going. After she, answers him politely, he just won't stop. Do you have alcohol problems? Do you have drug problems?
Like Dr. Phil.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Do you have addiction problems? And she calls him out. Well, now you sound like Dr. Phil, which he does, because he's trying to basically salaciously be like Dr. Phil on this late night comedy show.
Like alcohol? Do you drink too much?
We've discussed this in the past.
Oh, did we really? When did we discuss?
Well, because
I'm the one who's having the blackouts.
See, and what's funny is Dave's had his own issues with alcoholism, and so they clearly had a private talk, which he already forgot about, just to sort of, for ratings, prod at hers. And it's really telling of the man, and where I sort of really started going, ugh, this is uncomfortable. Of like, Dave, if you've been through this, you of all people should know, don't humiliate her on public television about it. Like, try and help her. That's what we should all do as human beings. And he does it. He keeps going. He keeps going. He keeps going. It gets going to the point where she then hijacks this list of things that he was going to ask her.
Are you okay now? Are you okay now? It feels like people should be helping you. Do you have money saved? Therapy? Ask yourself, why always in trouble?
That's like the interview it's supposed to be. It's horrific. And then at the very end, very end, he catches her.
Oh, she's tearing up a little bit. God bless you.
I love you too.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's just painful to watch now, because you realize, look, she's a human being. Did she mess up? Yes. Did a lot of people get angry at her? Did she disappoint a lot of people? Absolutely. But why are we pushing her through this? And it's funny to me, because the only thing that is funny to me is sort of, all the mistakes she did make, the problems, etc., her own accountability she needs to take. Now it's like, well, how dare we treat her? The reality is there so much more behind Letterman than I think they're even acknowledging. Yeah, I don't like how Letterman treated this. Lindsay Lohan still needed to take accountability for that. Let's not forget that too. But Letterman is a known creep, jerk throughout history. Now, I want to say, before I even get into this, I'm not trying to do this to cancel David Letterman. I love David Letterman. I grew up watching him. He was hilarious. I loved his type of humor, his edgy humor. But I'm just shocked that people are surprised by this. Let's go through a few things, because I want to make sure people who aren't familiar, didn't grow up with him like I did, the kinds of stuff Letterman used to do. Here's one of many supercuts people have done of Letterman being creepy with his female guests. This one was the most jarring, just as I started, where he's very young, Emma Watson's there, and he decides to ask her, what's going on here with your underwear showing in this paparazzi photo?
This was a small wardrobe malfunction.
Okay, cool topic, Dave. Dude, guys, go watch for yourself. I mean, he never stops. Look at this. It's just uncomfortable.
Not quite, just a little hole.
Just a little hole. Or is it still tough to keep holes out of stockings these days?
Very, very tough.
Yeah, it is tough.
And
There's so much of it, guys. I could do hours of videos of David Letterman creepily flirting with his guests. But there's even tons of cringy interviews where he's what he did to Paris Hilton, very similar to what he did to Lindsay Lohan. Whether your thoughts of Paris Hilton or not, it's clear he pushes her to the brink because he doesn't care about her except for her talking about why she's in jail. Here, Cher is calling him an a-hole on air, why she avoided his show for so long, because she admits, well, you have a very prickly personality, and you either love or hate the guest, which is spot on. All of this stuff. He talks about Lauren Conrad and his spicy tape, and he's like, well, I would have liked to have seen it. And she's all like, oh, creepy. There's so much you can watch there, but there's nothing sums it up better. And this isn't even the biggest point I want to say. Hold on, I got a bigger point I'm going to get to, but just to sum up the creepiness, nothing sums it up better than this interview with Jennifer Aniston.
One thing.
Okay.
Which,
Anton.
what is he doing? What? Is he gonna making out with her? Oh no, he's just trying to eat her hair, guys. He just wants to eat her hair, and then look what he does. He sucks it. Ew. And she's like shook the whole rest of the show, and like it's creepy. It's creepy. This is what it was back in the 90s. In the 90s, this is what happened. But beyond even the creepy factor, look, I've talked to a few of his former colleagues, very close to him colleagues, and he has history with a lot of his former staff being unhappy with him. Now, look. Whom I wasn't there, whom I judged. I'm just saying there's a history of ugliness behind if you go do the dirt on David Letterman. But no one ever did. Why? Why did no one ever try to cancel him, given all this creepiness and misogyny and staff complaints, etc.? All of it comes to a head when, was this 2005 or something, 2008? I don't remember when this was exactly. But he's extorted. Someone comes up and tries to extort him. And they try to extort him by showing him proof of sort of the creepy things he's done. Now, Letterman does a whole monologue where he revealed this to his audience. And he lays it all out. And again, no one should endorse extortion. Obviously not okay. It wasn't okay what happened. He uses all of this to play the victim and then announce the creepy things that the guy was going to call out because he realizes, well, I'm just going to call it out myself. But this is just a masterclass in 90s sort of ignoring the terrible things I did, and watch how the audience reacts.
What was it? What was all the creepy stuff that he was going to put into the screenplay and the movie? And
must be weird, creepy lies, whatever. Let's hear, guys.
The creepy stuff was that I have had sex with women who work for me on this show. Now, my response to that is, yes, I have. I have had sex with women who work on this show.
Letterman's married, for one. Two, where's the power imbalance? Where's all the balance of power that everyone always complains about? That none of it? You don't care anymore? They're applauding still. Listen to this.
And would it be embarrassing if it were made public? Perhaps it would. Perhaps it would. Especially for the women.
Because, he's their boss, but he's bad in bed, so it's funny. Can you imagine this flying today? This is effed up. And they just eat it up. I remember when this happened to me, because I never got accused of anything by my staff. There was one colleague of mine who lied about saying I was inappropriate, who's never come forward with any specifics because there aren't any. But no one on my staff ever complained about me. It was always my fans, and that was enough of a power imbalance. But your staff? Can you imagine? Imagine if instead of fans, it had been all my staff had done it. It'd be a total different story. But back in the 90s, it was so cool. This is how people have been raised. This is what we were sort of used to and saying this is fine. The audience applauds to it. It's terrific. Not only all of the fact that he's doing this with staff, but he was married at the time. And so I remember going through this specifically because when I went through my own things, some people had shared to me, like, did you ever watch Letterman's apology? They literally applaud the whole time. And then the next night, because of what he did, he didn't take enough accountability. Here's what he does.
Being a victim.
He hypes up again all the victim and the stuff that happened to him. They tried to extort him and how awful it all was, which it was. But then he uses all that as a victim.
And if you happen to, your behavior is responsible for hurting people, that's a separate part of the equation. And it did not occur to me last week when I was discussing having had sex with women who worked on this show, that then what would happen is reporters and newspaper people and radio and TV would start hounding the staff and saying, what do you say? Are you? And this and that. It was very, very unpleasant. And I would just like to set the record straight. No, I'm not having sex with these women. Those episodes are in the past. So my apologies to subjecting them to that vulnerability and being browbeaten and humiliated. It never occurred to me. And as a matter of fact, Alan Coulter kept wanting to know if we'd had sex. Didn't you remember that, Alan?
Can you imagine this today? Can you imagine if this had come out today, all these accusations, and that's how Letterman apologized? Oh, I'm a victim of extortion, but I just never even considered the idea that some people might be offended at the fact that there's a power imbalance of the people, the women I've slept with at my job. Who knows what happened to those women? Let's be honest. Were they paid off? Who knows? Did they regret it? Have they just not been able to say anything? Did they sign deals? Who knows? We'll never know because he sort of shrugs off the rug, but he's clearly had slept with his staff. Staff that had been regular on the show. It wasn't just staff like, he was married and he was sleeping with the woman Steph, who became a reoccurring character on Late Show. You got to remember, as I watched, this character Steph sort of always played like his partner on air. There was clearly like a relationship brewing, whether she was rewarded with who knows. She clearly, I don't think she's ever come out and said it was bad, but she's also really never said anything about it. And that's her right, let's be clear. But now it's all out, and so he's admitting, I was sleeping with people on the staff, and he's doing it for laughs. And he's like, I didn't think this would interest the news to wonder if I'm currently sleeping with staff. It just never occurred to me. I mean, geez, I'm so sorry to my current staff and never about any of his behavior. It's all just about that. Look, this is a masterclass in not taking accountability and not apologizing. But in early 2000s, this wasn't even 1990. Early 2000s, this was the way. And so at the very end,
to me, not just through this furor, but through all the years that we've been on television, and especially all the years here at CBS. So again, my thanks to the staff for once again putting up with something stupid I've gotten myself involved in.
Something stupid he got himself involved in. You mean sleeping with your staff? Excuse me. He's making me sneeze because of its craziness. Now, he's so sorry for my staff for the stupidness. Not any accountability, not acknowledging it. I guess good on him, because that's how he got away with it. Don't accept the accountability. Just say you didn't do it. Because he never had to admit fault, I really think this is why they never canceled him. And that's the whole point of what I want to get this topic of. Why didn't they cancel him? Why didn't they ever, still to this day, not only did they not cancel him, he's got Obama on, and Malala, and Tina Fey, and George Clooney. Look, I love Letterman. I love this show. I don't want him to be canceled. But it's just the hypocrisy of the left side. When you're on their team, they always forgive you. And he never took accountability. He never took accountability. He had a power imbalance with staff, and he cheated on his wife. And here's him finally addressing his wife.
The thing is, my wife, Regina, she has been horribly hurt by my behavior. And when something happens like that, if you hurt a person, and it's your responsibility, you try to fix it. And at that point, there's only two things that can happen. Either you're going to make some progress and get it fixed, or you're going to fall short and perhaps not get it fixed. So let me tell you, folks, I got my work cut out for me. And
you can tell there he wanted to laugh. He was even smiling, like, haha, right? Because I got a lot of work for my wife to fight. She's going to have to, though, right? And no, even the audience is like, no, dude, yeah, damn right you do. It's the only time he took some accountability, slight amount of accountability that he took. And that's how it went away. And so then he just played it off again, like, well, the extortion, and these people aren't going to get away with it, and yada, yada, yada. And bravo to him, because now he's chatting with Obama and getting everything he does. I guess an inspiration to us all, because, as long as you're on that side, they don't want to cancel you. But meanwhile, if you're on the other side, if you disagree, never again. You can never be addressed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a fascinating thing to me. So, look, at the end of the day, I love Letterman. I've always been a fan of his comedy. Late Night with David Letterman is one of the best shows. I loved his stuff, and he did the drive-through. And oh, my God, so many. When he put the earpieces in, he did that first. So many, dropping things from the roof. Dude, he's a legend. He's always going to be a comedic legend to me. But he just proves we all have problems. We've all done things that are inappropriate or that we should have done better. And the reality is, why does one side always more forgiving and allow for the accountability to catch than others? I don't get it. It's a very weird thing. I don't understand why we aren't all more forgiving of everybody and everybody learning to take accountability and the problems they've made and coming forth, addressing it and becoming better people. Now, I don't know if Letterman's a better person. All I know is going through the staff, he's made a lot of people upset. I don't know. I wasn't there. At the end of the day, though, has he really addressed the wrongs? Did anyone really ever put his feet to the fire? No. He got to keep that show going as long as he wanted. And if that had happened today, no way it would fly. So what's the real outcome of all this? I don't know. To me, he shouldn't have gotten canceled. No one should be canceled unless they're really caught doing criminal acts. And instead of being canceled, I think a lot of people just need to have conversations and education. Sometimes take a break. All right, I'm going to step back and do some things like Chris Harrison just did. I got a whole bunch more to talk about The Bachelor and what's happening to him. But take a step back and actually try to learn. Can we learn? Can we be educated? Can we have some difficult conversations to show that this person can learn? If they can't learn and they don't want to, fine. They lose their job based on the company saying it's not the standards we want to have. There's ways we can do this with still being human, but there's so much dehumanizing out there when you mistake or you think against the group you're not part of. It's scary. It's truly scary. So that's what this is about. Look, Letterman, I love you, Letterman. Still, I think you're funny. I loved your interview style. You were clearly a curmudgeon, but there's something nice and sweet about it. But why does he get away with it and others don't? Just because they're conservative? Then you can't? Okay, difference of political opinion. And I'm not even trying to compare this to Gene and other people. I'm just saying in general, there's just a double standard, I think, here where liberals will genuinely forgive and forget. But then Chris Pratt, no. Even though he's done nothing wrong, Chris Pratt, no. He's a jerk. Oh, my God, no. It's insane. It's insane out there. So be careful out there. Always be careful what you tweet. Whatever you tweet could live forever. Keep that in mind and share your thoughts down below on David Letterman, etc. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do hit that bell to all notifications. Smash that like button and make sure you check out some of these videos as well. Tell me your favorite Letterman moment. Did you watch? Did you know of this? Did I surprise you? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, everybody.